So I just got a hold of this watch a few minutes ago. It's actually set to release tomorrow, I believe. Tomorrow being the 15th of February. And I wanted to do this quick video on it to kind of show it compared to other watches and show how it sits on the wrist, because once it's released, I'm sure a lot of people are going to be wondering that. So today we're taking a look at the Timex 1972 reissue. And here it is. There's a giant box here. Timex has actually been doing this lately. It's a nice gesture, I think. Here it is, if you want to take a look at that. But like the box says here, this is a 50-year anniversary of their 1972 quartz release. From what I understand, this is the first quartz release 50 years ago, so they're reissuing this watch. And like I said at the start of this is to be released tomorrow, the 15th, when I will release this video. So the packaging here is pretty standard, like any other Timex watch I've received in the last few months or years. And here it is. Yeah, so here it talks a little bit about the history of the quartz watches in the Timex lines. And here they're reissuing one of their most iconic ones. Let's take it out here. Here it is. Oh man, this is bright. It's a bold watch here. Taking off the plastic. So let me take off this stopper to get it ticking. Here we go. It looks like there's still another plastic around it. There it is. So removing all the plastic, here it is. So right off the bat, this is a big watch. And of course, it's really calling that vintage design, that vintage feel of watches. With this barrel case, it's a very high case. This kind of reminds me of the vintage Computrons. It's that kind of big, thick style. A very bright gold case and a very bright red dial. So I'll see if I can capture it here, but to me this is one of the most iconic things, where each indice is kind of floating on. And you can see it here. This is one of those iconic vintage designs. Each indice is floating, it's gold and it's polished, just like the case. It really matches nicely. There you go, you can see it very well there. We'll take this out in natural sun and kind of show it off there too. But this is a great design, a great callback to that original vintage feel. So like I said earlier, this watch is just about to be released, so I don't have the exact dimensions on this. All I can tell you is that it's quite big because of this case. The lug width here does look to be 20 millimeters. But as soon as those details come out, I don't want to give you wrong information, so as soon as those come out, I'll be able to update this. Below that date, the date window here, the outline, even that's not a perfect square, which is part of the design. It really does make it look nice and funky vintage style. So I wanted to bring out these other watches to kind of show the size of it. So right off the bat, I will say that the size of the dial itself is not that big. Here it is next to the Nighthawk. It's not that big, but the case itself is big. It is going to be on the thick side too. And here you can see here it has a pretty high crystal. That really does go a long way with that vintage design. So again, while this is a big watch, it's particularly more coming on the case and the crystal than the actual dial. So I do think it's going to be able to wear a little nicely on smaller wrists, and I'll throw it on the wrist in a little bit. And of course I had to bring out the turtle. The turtle is a similarly oddly shaped case, and even then next to the turtle is just absolutely enormous compared to this new Timex. So while the case and the watch itself is relatively big, I do think you'll be able to wear it quite nicely. Now I don't think this is actually loomed. I'll double check. But we'll go ahead and throw it on the wrist and see how that wears, and we'll take it out in natural sunlight too. Yeah, in the natural sunlight it really does shine, it pops. Those bright colors blend quite well. Obviously this is a very bold watch. This isn't just, it's kind of a statement piece, and that's really, there's nothing wrong with that. It's a bright colors, big size, big case. So let's go ahead and throw it on the wrist and see how that wears. On the wrist, it actually wears smaller than I would have thought. I think what I talked about, the dial itself being small, really does go a long way here. It's a case that's big, but it wears pretty small. For reference, my wrist size is about 6.5 inches, so it's on the small side. And as you can see, the case kind of hugs my wrist, which makes this a lot more wearable than I would have thought just handling it. So that's a nice touch. Overall, this is a great reissue. Out in the sunlight, those indices really do pop up. It's a nice callback to the vintage style. I do wish it would have been loomed, but that's understandable. And really, the more I wear this, the more it seems that it's actually quite wearable even on small wrists. It's a great piece. And then once more details come out, I'll be able to give you more on that. But overall, it's a fantastic release by Timex on quite a big milestone they're hitting here.